Hi, welcome to RAR Math. Today we are doing a series of videos on exponential functions. What I want to do specifically on this video is discuss if you're given a 30-day time frame, but you need to write your time frame in a different way, either as a 1-day time frame, a 2-week time frame, or a 1-year time frame. What you could do to your multiplication factor in each situation. So in this first one, if I'm going from 30 days, which could be represented all the way out here, down to 1 day, I really want to take my factor and represent it in a much smaller amount of time, a fraction of the time. So if my multiplication factor here is e, just to mix it up, I know I usually use a, but if it's e, then to go from 30 to 1 day, it's going to be the fraction e to the 1 over 30. That means if we were using this actually in an equation, we would say e to the x over 30. My second example, going from 30 days to 2 weeks, this one is a little more complicated because it's not a direct line. What we really need to do is we need to take 30 days and go down to 1 day, which we did right here. So let's say f to the 1 over 30, we already did that. But then we need to take 1 day and turn it into 14 days. So what we want to do, if we think of the spectrum where this is 14 days and this is 1 and 2 and 3, each of these blocks is going to have an f to the 1 over 30, f to the 1 over 30, 14 times. Well, with exponents, when you multiply bases together, you add the exponents. So what's going to happen is you're going to have 14 of these, one for each of the 14 days, or f to the 14 over 30. Now, just because it's an exponent doesn't mean it's not a fraction. Fractions should always be reduced. So this is the same as f to the 7 over 15. And if you were using this in an equation, you would either say f to the 7 over 15x, where that x is lined up with the middle of the bar, or f to the 7x over 15. My last example, going from 30 days to 1 year, I'm going to cheat, because this could potentially be just as difficult as this, because 1 year is 365 days. But I'm going to cheat and turn this into 360 days to make life simpler. Now, if you're doing this in a class, double check with your teacher before just altering the number of days in a year. This is done a lot in finance to make the calculations simpler. 360 is a much easier number to carry than 365. So if we consider it as 360 instead of 30, 30 goes into 360 12 times, so we would have 12 iterations. Let's use g. We'd have 12 iterations of this to get to 360, which would give us g to the 12 is how we would alter our factor, or g to the 12x. The reason I'm giving you both how you alter it and then how you have a manipulated exponent is because you could do it either way. You really could. If g was 1/2, you could take 0.5 to the 12, get a new number, and take that number to the x and just have a simple formula that was what you're used to seeing. Or if you don't have a calculator and you're trying to do something a little more complicated or simple, depending on if you think the exponent being complicated is easier or harder, if g was 1/2, you could actually leave it as 12x in the equation and it'll still work, because if x is representing a smaller number, whether or not you take your factor to 12 before or after, it should end up being the same thing. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my Facebook page, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.